Hello again, and welcome to another Showdown in the Badlands Duels review. Today we've got the Paladin set. We're starting with an interesting card here, one I definitely don't think is going to see play in Duels, but a very cool card. We've got Spirit of the Badlands, 3 mana 3/4, Undead Beast, Battlecry. If your deck has no duplicates, get a permanent Mirage. And the text on the Mirage is there, but let me just explain what this means. You play this card, and you get like a ghostly Mirage in your hand. The turn you play it, it is just a Mirage. Then at the start of your turn, it becomes a copy of a minion in your deck. And then when you take that minion and attempt to play it out of your hand, you will see a twin spell-like effect where you drag the minion away, but Mirage stays in your hand in that slot. And then Mirage won't transform again until the start of your next turn. Now, I've already said many times that I don't believe Highlander decks are going to make it in Duels, but I do actually have some thoughts about this on Standard. I think there is a potential here for the quote-unquote dancing or big paladin to find a way to include this and, like, just remove half of the cards, put in more legendaries, put in more splashy minions, and use this to just keep going. Keep your big value engines going. Just keep getting Anoyo troops forever. If you're not careful, it becomes help I can't hold all these Kangors, but I like that deck, again, for Standard. I don't see a world in which Paladin can play Highlander in Duels. It's just not likely. Moving on, we've got our next card here, which is the Prismatic Beam. It's a 7 mana spell. It says deal 3 damage to all enemies, cost 1 less for each enemy minion. Yeah, this is a sweet little board clear. I definitely feel like we could find time to use this. There are so many board swarmy decks in Duels. There's some holy support in this set. If we tried to build like a resource-based holy control paladin, we could put this card in. No, it's not holy, but it's just a good board clear, and it pairs very well with this next card we have, Showdown. 2 mana, both players summon 3/3/3 outlaws, give yours rush. Now, do I honestly think that these cards are going to see a lot of play in Duels? No, I'm not very confident on it. Showdown is just very, very bad at its base level. There's not even a treasure in Duels that makes this a good standalone play, except for 2 ultra rare treasures. And that is, yeah, you cannot do that. You just cannot do that. So again, I do think this could see play if we see a resource-focused, like, Paladin control deck, but I just don't know how we're doing that. I would have to look at all the treasures and all the hero powers that Paladin has access to. I'm just not seeing it. Next up, we've got this hand package. We've got hand paladin stuff. So, it's pretty common to have a big hand in Duels, but whether or not you want to play payoff cards for that is another question. This one is a 5 mana 1/5 rush lifesteal. Battlecry, gain +1 attack for each card in your hand. And this is definitely still pushing more of that control angle that I talked about earlier. It definitely seems like this set is leaning towards control paladin, which has never quite made it in Duels, and I'm not sure that like a 5 mana 7/5 lifesteal, great, yeah, we can do that. 5 mana 7/5 rush lifesteal, but like, is that really getting us back into the game enough to make up for the fact that we like passed to playing Showdown? I'm not sure. I like the cards. I think they could definitely see play in constructed formats. I'm just not super high on a control paladin in Duels. This has the text cost 1 less on it, so keep an eye out for Living Horizon. It's a 10 mana 4/6 elemental with Taunt and Divine Shield, and costs 1 less for each other card in your hand. This one has more chances of seeing play just because it's such a non-conditional payoff for playing a slower deck. There's a lot of decks that could run this. It's not just like specifically a control paladin. Anyway, where you're doing card generation or anything like that, this is playable. Like, you get this down to 4 mana, it's way above rate. If you get it any lower than that, you are over the moon. So this is a good card on its own. Tough to say whether or not it will be worth it enough to try to make a slower paladin work. However, we do have a really explosive legendary spell here. Super cool, super fun. If we were gonna build around something in a control-based paladin deck, this might be the one to do it, because there are so many legendary minion passives in Duels, and this gives you 8 legendary minions in your hand. Now, let me just go ahead and read this card. It's a 6 mana spell. It says the Badlands Bandits. Get 8 3/2 bandits with bonus effects. Any that can't fit in your hand are summoned instead. So again, get here means put them into your hand. So that's why it says summoned instead. We've got a fun little thing here where we've got Sandy Red and the 7 Dwarves. Sandy Red and the Magnificent 7 Dwarves. This is a vibe. There's a lot going on here. But really, the main thing that I'm looking at with this card is there's a passive that says Inspiring Presence that says after you play a legendary minion, reduce the cost of a random card in your hand by 2. If you can build a deck that has that passive or that gets legendary passives in general and then play this spell, it likely puts a bunch of minions onto the board the turn you play it, and then you follow up with most likely being able to play all of the dwarves in your hand. Very cool. Very, very fun little thing we can do here with like a legendary paladin. I don't know that it's good enough. I keep saying this, but it's I haven't seen control paladin work in Duels. This isn't like, this would get you a bunch of initiative, but this is also 6 mana to set up for an explosive turn. So yeah, I like it. I'm not convinced. There's also worlds where we use this with like hand buff passives, or like hand buff stuff. This is really good with Hagatha's Embrace, which is at the start of your turn, give 2 random minions in your hand +1/+1. So there's angles for the Badlands Bandits in particular, but the rest of the package around it, I'm not so certain. Moving on, we've got some Holy Synergy cards. If we wanted to go for the Holy passive, either we're getting Invigorating Light, which is the first time you cast a Holy spell, give all friendly characters +1 health, or we could go for, I can't remember what it's called, the other tier 1, which is after the first time you cast a Holy spell in a turn, discover a card from your class. Those are decent passives, but it would sort of pigeonhole you into playing a warrior deck or paladin deck that is almost entirely holy spells, and I just don't know if that's good enough. If we're looking at Deputization Aura, though, it's a 3 mana holy spell, and it says your leftmost minion has +3 attack and lifesteal. Lasts 3 turns. Worth noting is that this is a cheap aura, and it makes big minions very valuable. So if we can find a way to make Dancing Paladin work, this has a potential in that. If we ever just make like a token paladin that's going for Ancient Guardians, which is after you cast a holy spell, summon a guardian that has stats equal to its cost. That just lets us keep making minions for Deputization Aura. So there's angles, but it would be a new deck, essentially. That is my main concern with all of these cards I've discussed so far, is it's a new deck. They're new decks, and they're not decks that have worked in the past. So that's really all it comes down to. We've also got Lay Down the Law. It's a 2-mana spell. It's got the Holy Tag. It's tradable. And it says, set a minion's attack and health to 1, quick draw, then deal 1 damage to it. It's a cool little way to, like, slot into your, like, axis of Wild Pyro equality clears. The quick draw is really good. It makes this a 2-mana unconditional board clear. Or, not board clear, like a 2-mana unconditional removal. But it's not easy to quick draw this card in Paladin. It is really not. So I think mostly where we're going to be seeing this card is off of Discover a Tradable, Generate a Random Tradable, and in that case, it's 2-mana unconditional kill a minion, and you are over the moon to receive it. Next up, Holy Cowboy. 3-mana 4/3, Battlecry. Your next holy spell costs 2 less. Now, I like this card. I don't think it's, like, insane, but I'm not viewing this as, like, for a holy deck. I'm viewing this and the next card in the set, Hi-Ho Silverwing, as being pieces for a Humble Blessings deck. Now, we've had Humble Blessings decks for a while in Paladin. Humble Blessings, if you don't recall, is a 5-mana Paladin signature treasure, as in you can start with it in your deck. And it's a holy spell, and it says, for the rest of the game, your minions' cost, attack, and health are all 3. So if you're running a deck where you're trying to play Humble Blessings as fast as possible, then this plus Knight of Anointment plus Holy Cowboy means you're pretty good to play Humble Blessings on turn 4, on turn 3 with the coin. And even if you're not doing that crazy blowout of getting, like, a super early Humble Blessings, just making that Humble Blessings draw more consistent, maybe come down earlier, I think it's going to be worth it. Now, it is tough to run this card because, as we saw, there are holy spells in this set, and the way Duels works, if you run these cards in your deck, it's gonna try to offer you more holy spells. So it will, like, it's not gonna be an easy draft, but there have been a lot of decks running Humble Blessing as the only holy spell, and specifically drafting so that they never draft any more holy spells. It's absolutely possible. And if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you probably know that there's a little pet deck of mine that I call Triple Onyxia Terralion, which uses Humble Blessings along with dragon passives to play 3-mana dragons that fill the board with 3/3 dragons. In that world, this card is outrageously good. It does everything you want it to do. It's a dragon, it's got stickiness, it draws you your Humble Blessings. It's like, it gets buffed by being a 3/3. Anything you could want out of a card to add to my Triple Onyxia Terralion deck is right here in this card. So, I like it. I like it a lot. 2/1 Divine Shield, Death Rattle, draw a holy spell. It's gonna get you there. And whether or not Triple Onyxia Terralion becomes a meta deck, I definitely think that Humble Blessings decks are going to run this card. It's just another way to guarantee that you get your Humble Blessings. And when you get Humble Blessings, you win the game. That's kind of how it works. So, yeah. I'm high on this card. I saved it for last. I hope you all enjoyed the review. I'm gonna be posting another one tomorrow with the Warrior reveals, and then there will be a whole BlizzCon wrap-up after the Hearthstone panel at BlizzCon on the 3rd. Looking forward to all of the future content coming out and trying this out for myself. Thank you all so much for watching. If you'd like to help out the channel, make sure to press my buttons, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Bye, 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 bye.